So let's kick off this first turn. And what do we got? We're in the first wave phase, which is a turn one special phase. And I've got to make my landings and attacks. I don't have much in the way of support. I don't get an operations phase, so I can't do pre-bombardments or anything. There's really nothing too complicated here. I just have to drop units in place and attack. So like this guy would come in here and he would have to attack this pest hole. But if he does that, there's some interesting... the order that you do these in is of some importance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this one first. It's only a 1.1. This unit could have a clearance otherwise, but the key thing is one of these other units could clear a space, and then I could get room to move inland a little bit. So that's the kind of thing I want to keep in mind. So hitting in the center, I'm not going to get a breakthrough. You know, if I get a breakthrough with this unit, if I get a success with this unit, well, maybe this unit could still move through. So I'm not too worried about that. I don't know if I'm making much sense there. So we go to the resistance nest combat table. Turn one, the attacker has a strength of 3. That's an important factor. And the nest itself is only strength 1. So we're on this table. There are no modifiers. And I just roll a die. And I want high. I get high. Okay, so I have destroyed this resistance. And I'll throw it over there. And now I believe I'm allowed to advance into the space. I don't remember for sure. This is important because that's a supply space, but I mean, it's also important I want to clear them all out in the first couple turns. So let me just quickly find the combat rules. The special combat against these. I believe it's a normal combat, so I'm going to be able to advance. And I'm going to put this guy like this because I don't have to match. Okay. Nothing too complex there. We're not seeing the system in full bloom yet. So I want to hit this one with a 3-pointer. So I've got a 3-point attack strength versus a 2-point. Let's see. Turn 1, 2, hitting. This is confusing. It's a strength 2 past. On turn 1 against a strength 3 attacker, I'm going to be on this table. A 7, that's pretty good. I take a hit and it's eliminated. Okay, that's not too bad. And you record these not by putting how many damage they have, but how many strength points you have on them. And they're here. These guys are fatigued after use, for what it matters. Okay. And now that's opened things up so that this guy can land and use 2 movement points. We're not sure where we want to put him yet. We want to do the nasty attack first here. So that's going to be a strength 3 versus a strength 3, which puts me on a kind of crappier table. We get a nice roll. We still take a hit. Oh, did I screw this up? No. Okay. And we're in there. And now we have a lot of open units that each get they get to land and then they get their action of 2 move. Oh wait, we still have this hit. I think I want to smack him with this. Puts me on the gray table over here. That's going to cause me a hit. But I get the hex. Alright, we cleared them all. That's important. Now I'm allowed to do my moves. And I'll drop him and 1-2 to there. Him 1-2 to there. And him 1-2 to there. We'll sit in all those villages. I don't know how much of a bonus they give me. Let's take a look. Villages give me a little bit of defensive bonus. More importantly, I'm denying them to the Germans if they were to rush up and defend. But we've kind of cleared the beach really quickly. Now, I believe we go to the Ranger. But I want to make sure I've got it on the sequence right. Ranger assault phase. Okay. This would be helpful because there's so little rule here if they included it in here. Basically, I can't remember if it's odd or even that's successful. I'm looking it up for some stupid reason right now. Even the Germans eliminated. Yay. Okay. Now that's pretty much what the Allies get to do on the first turn of the game. Let's keep working our way through though. U.S. support doesn't happen. Initiative doesn't happen. Operations don't happen. German reinforcements don't happen. U.S. reinforcements would happen. Now remember, when reinforcements happen, they have the option to just sit there, but actually you don't want to do that probably because it comes after the operations phase. That wasn't clear in my head. I knew I was a little confused about that. So I'm going to grab this turn's reinforcements, including all those yummy assets, and try to figure out what kind of, expansion of my beachhead I want to have. Remember, they have like 6 movement points each, unless there's some special turn 1 rules regarding the reinforcements. Let's just see. Nope, they have 3 movement points with no highway benefits. So, a couple of things I want to look at here. First of all, note that these units are all part of the same division. By the way, it's all 1 corps. 5th Corps is what's making this attack, and therefore 5th Corps Special Artillery are the ones that cost more activations. So that is actually correct, and I assume the 84th is the same for the Germans. Yes, there are 2 divisions attacking. The divisions break up into the 1st and 29th, and what is this yellow thing? Yellow thing's 2nd Division, which has its own rules. The 2nd Division cannot go west of the Veer River. That's this. Okay. But the divisional boundary is between the 29th and 1st Division. The 1st Division has to be on the eastern side, and that's these red units. Eastern side of the divide. The 29th has to be on the western side of that. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with those 2nd, why it's such, this river is not a major feature across the board or anything. So it looks to me like that 2nd Division is very, very capable of just flowing all over the board, which seems a little odd to me. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But again, that line only matters once you cross the naval fire boundary. But it is important to keep your divisions kind of closely aligned because you get a bonus for multiple units of the same division being near each other, being adjacent to the enemy unit when you attack for a more coordinated attack. Plus, I have all these assets to make a decision on. It's fairly easy to deploy my troops out and create, a beachhead. However, the assets are a more complicated thing because it's not absolutely clear what should be going where, right? Nothing should be going here. But the deal with the assets is I don't know how much force I'm going to need on any particular unit. And the way this system works, like the Lee versus Grant system, is that you kind of pile up one unit to make the attack and then use supporting units of that I guess battalion, brigade level. You use supporting units at that brigade level to, launch additional, to provide the supporting values. But on the other hand, it's going to take a little bit of thinking, I think, to see just how much I need in something. So assuming a deliberate attack, that's like a +2. If I'm looking at a combat table where the defender has a strength of 4 and the attacker has a strength of 3, well, that's not a very good table. So I'm going to want a fair number of modifiers on that. Now I can get a couple off of the attack type, but the armor differential can also give me significant points. Of course, another factor is the anti-tank value gets subtracted from the armor. So putting just one armored unit on something doesn't do me a lot of good. I think I want to go with the maximum of three armor attached to each given unit. Although if I'm attacking something like this, that might not be such an important factor. So, if that artillery's still sitting out there, it's pretty much meat. And that leads me to interesting questions. Where do I want to make my push? I think I definitely need to make a push in this direction. This is their strong point. So I'm going to throw one of the armored, one of the sets of armored units down here. Do I want it on the spearhead unit in front? Not necessarily. I think I actually want it over here. That gives me a little bit more flexibility in case, depending on what the Germans do. The second one, maybe I want to break it up to hit over here, but I think what I want to do is I want to try to launch an attack in this direction. So I'm going to put them all there. Okay. Let's find our sequence of play. There was no German reinforcement phase. No, we did the U.S. There's no markers to remove. That could be eliminated on turn 1. Fatigue recovery. All the U.S. unit. Oh, by the way, those assets I think are fatigued, but it doesn't really make a difference because they're not allowed to reposition during the reinforcement phase, and then you immediately get to the fatigue recovery. Everything's going to be unfatigued, and we get some U.S. control markers and some victory points. I think it's particularly wise to put the victory point marker right on the map under the unit that's holding the space. That won't make it clear. Covering the unit, so I'm kind of putting it to the side here to remind me that that's a victory point for the U.S. No points were lost for these. And so we get 1 U.S. victory point, not 100. And I think that's the end of turn 1. Putting us to turn 2. One thing to note, especially at the end of this turn, but maybe at most turns if a lot of activity happens, there's a fair amount of annoying unflip all the units at the end of the turn type thing. I'm trying to think the other games that had this. Korea definitely had that factor to it. I think the Great Campaigns of American Civil War and Lee versus Grant do. Something like American Civil War, not so much, because it doesn't work the same way. It doesn't use that kind of burn down, hey, I moved and now I'm fatigued marker. Great Battles of History has it. And a lot of games that I like have that kind of annoying mechanical aspect to them, but I could see it really getting on somebody's nerves, having to unflip all their counters, especially since it's a fairly light game overall. Even with simple bookkeeping stuff, we run through first wave Ranger now, but U.S. support phase happens on turn 2. I like to give at least one demonstration of how you roll a die. How many dice do you roll? Once for airstrikes and once again for naval fire. Okay. When they say once, I get worried. Okay, so the airstrikes, I get a 2, and there's no modifiers on here. That gives me 1 airstrike, and the naval fire. Oh, 4. Wow. You want to roll low. How about that? Okay. Well, that's kind of confusing because I don't know what I want to do. Now we're on initiative. It's turn 2, so the Germans have the initiative. They will get the first operation. I'm assuming they want to do something. We don't roll their reinforcements yet. That doesn't happen until after the operations. It's an interesting situation. I like that the reinforcements come in after movement, after your operations, because that gives you the chance to build your breakout and then pull more forces in. I don't know what other effects it has, but other than the Beachhead extension or an invasion of a map or anything like that, it seems to fit nicely. Well, what do? Well, the number's at 0. I don't believe there are any modifiers to this ever, other than did somebody else do something? We could check to see if there's anything anywhere. I'm sure if there were modifiers, they'd be written somewhere. Haha. Yeah, I think there's just the... I could look in the rules, but we don't want to do that. So the Germans have a grand total of 1 operation. Of course, they can take more, and they probably want to. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. And this is one of the problems when you're starting a game like this. I'm obviously not where I want to be with artillery exposed out here, but what is the defensive line is the question. To me, it looks like it's probably behind this stream. And the problem, though, is there's a cost to moving my units, which means they can't entrench. And where do my reinforcements come in? Well, my new coming reinforcements are going to be coming in areas A and B, which is way down there. So I'm not going to see anything, up here or whatever. And there are none over here anytime in the near future. Not pulling anything from the west or from the east. Okay. There's also questions of what do I want to defend here? Do I want to fall back from this victory point hex, or do I want to defend it? I can wait on that. The U.S. isn't very close there. The big question is how to defend this. And I have up to 4 operations to do so. If I do 4, that gives a big +3 to the US though. We're going to test out the firepower because these are the units that cannot move. These 2 units though are artillery, so is this one for that matter, which can launch a barrage. They're allowed to do that, they're just not allowed to move. The other units are not allowed, well, this is the only thing that you're allowed to do is a barrage. You can't do entrenchment or anything else with those units. So I'm going to spend my ops on that. And I don't know whether I'm firing both of them, but I grabbed this sucker. And let's take a look at how this works, because we haven't seen an example of it. Okay. We select an observation post that we put within. Let's see. 3 hexes to a combat unit bearing the designation. Okay. So, what are our limits here? We can't put it in an enemy occupied hex. We can't put it in an enemy controlled hex unless it's occupied by a friendly unit. That means we're not going to be able to do that. What about height? Well, let's take a look here. We got some important hills here. That might be of some value. The coloring's a pain in the butt. So this is a level 4 hex. This is, I think, good God, level 3. Coming down, this is level 4. Let's look at the observation value chart. Okay, as long as we're not more than 1 level higher, we're going to be on this on a shitty table. The observation value is based on the observation piece itself. We're going to be getting that at 2 hexes. Which unit do I want to hit? I want to hit this thing with lots of assets. That's my most threatening unit on the line. Of course, the assets could redeploy, you know, so it's not really that big a thing. My firepower is 1 at 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 at 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have any other artillery nearby. I'm assuming nothing's got that kind of range. Okay, so I could I could have up to 4 barrage value. We're going to be looking at like 2 times. That's not a hell of a lot, but I feel like we need to do this. So we need to do this because we need to try to slow down the Allied units. So we're going to be firing 2 times 4 is 8 on the 8 to 10 table. Modifiers, I don't believe there are any. And we just roll. And a 4 does nothing. There was very little chance, but a disorder could have had some impact. That flips both of these. Okay, that wasn't very useful. And that's one of our operations. We have another operation available. I have to decide if I need to move a unit forward. This thing, I don't know why I have them in the tray. I'm going to need them regularly, but so there are a few options I can make. I could try to defend here better. I don't think that's a very valid choice. I could throw a unit up to the front and probably get it schwacked. I probably want to give ground before that. I am sitting on nothing there. There's a victory point hex here. The Americans are going to get that no matter what. There's really nothing else terribly important about anything except ground. Giving up ground is a bad thing. What about height? Height is important too. Unfortunately, it's hard to read here, but this hill is potentially of some importance. So if I could occupy that, that would be valuable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could get there. Is that what I want? Kind of opens things up moving down this way. That's less than optimal. I could, of course, move this into play, but I don't know. How much height is important? Combat modifiers. God, this is hard to read. Defender 2 levels higher than the attacker. So this Hill 76 is, I believe, that color. And that's at least 2 levels higher than this color, because this is the... I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Good God. I'm trying to discern between these two and what they could be. All right, let's work our way through again. This is level 1, level 2. I assume level 3. Hard enough to read. Level 4 is green. This is the same color as that, so this goes to level 3, so this is level 5. But these are all different colors, and this is what bugs me. So we were at, this is level 3, level 4, level 5. Is this level 6? I would guess that's level 6. I have real trouble distinguishing these colorations. I didn't have this much trouble with Sicily, I know that much. Although, you know. But again, it doesn't shade upwards in a linear fashion. Do I want to be here? I'll only be 1 level above here from that hex. The village versus the stream. See, this is the kind of thing I'm looking at. So, village is -1. Stream is -2. So this is the whole thing. If I can get people behind the stream line, that's very valuable. But I do not have enough forces to defend that stream line very well. And remember, it cost me an operation to go into extended formation. So that's a painful thing to do. I'll just get my ass kicked, driven away, and then the U.S. forces will be able to come slamming through in a breakthrough. There just aren't a lot of troops here. Let me keep thinking. I activated this guy, moved him his 5 hexes. That pushes me down there in operations. Am I done? Well, this can entrench. That'll send me another operation down, and I will put a trench marker down. Is that wise? I don't know. It's giving up some of my mobility. But again, I can't really defend the artillery, and so I'm going to try to create a little bluster of units there that I can. That's all I'm doing with the Germans. I could activate 1 more unit. I'm not going to. That means the US gets a +2 to the Darwin, and they're going to get 4 operations. I kind of wish there was a marker differentiating, hey, who went last, whatever, because it's unlikely I'll be able to make it through a complete operations turn every time. I know it's not that big a game. It's not like Vietnam or something, but or even Korean War. But I still tend to pulse to do very little at a time. This may force me to take full turns in each breath. Hard to figure out what to move in these kind of pulse games. So one thing I could do is I could move this with administrative movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, for a stream. 6 to here, as long as I stay 4 hexes or more away. But the problem is, this is my strike force up here. This is the group that I'm planning on hitting things with, and I kind of don't want to space that out. There's also the, well, what do I want moving where, you know, which is kind of difficult. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be allowable, and that would get me some support for an attack against this unit, which is already fatigued, so it's going to have a harder time doing anything. Now, there are restrictions on turn 2. I think the U.S. can't move too hard. I think that's the restriction. Maybe not. Yep. Unless they're fatigued, they can't move. They can't activate again. So, for infantry. So I pretty much get 1 press forward with anything. And you got to make it count, right? So there's a fair amount of pre-planning in what you'd want to do here in a way that I, of course, hate. Too far away to launch a real attack against this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I had them in the right place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, I could get them into here and here, I think. This has a zone, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no. I can't even do that. And I wouldn't be able to launch the attack. But I'd be set up, and that might chase him away a couple hexes or something. Who knows? He won't be able to entrench. That's kind of the big deal. I'll be too close. But given that, I think I'd like to beat up on his artillery. Hey, do I have any strikes I want to do? Interesting thought. Doesn't do me a lot of good to demoralize something if I'm not going to hit it. So let us entertain ourselves. Let's look at the naval and air fire and see what it's like. Wow, the airstrikes are a lot better than the naval. A whole lot better. But we don't have as many. So observation doesn't make much difference except that I just have to be able to do it. There's no combination with these. So I am going to soften up the things I can actually hit. Because 1, 2... So, yeah, I'm not allowed to reactivate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I won't be close enough still. I could make an attack right across the stream there. That's horrible. What about here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to be able... So here's the thing. I have to, even to do a hasty attack, I have to be 4 hexes away. And the road doesn't give me any speed bonus because I'm getting too close to use administrative movement. So I am going to fire off my naval fire. Let's not waste our air fire on this unit. And I drop an observation post. Let's get some of these here. It kind of doesn't matter which one. Within a couple of hexes, and hey, voila, I can see it. Okay, and we'll be doing naval fire. There should be no modifiers for this, if I'm right. I don't see anything. Okay. I roll a 7. I have demoralized it. What does that do for me? It gives me a combat bonus. There's not much he can do. Did I seriously? I demoralized him. Okay, if he wasn't fatigued, he would have just become fatigued. There's not a hell of a lot that the Germans can do to save that unit. And doing so will put them within my grasp. So, we're going to drop the other naval strike. Did I move an operation down? I think so. I think I was at 4. I'll do another naval strike on the other artillery that I could hit. Why not? 9, even better. Another one demoralized. Well, this is just goodies for me. I kind of don't know what to do with my airstrike. I don't think it can do shit. Well, no reason to expend it at that case. What do I want to do for launching an attack? I have 2 operations. I'm gonna, I don't know. Do I want to move forward? Do I want to do this? Where's the 116? The 116 is here. I would rather leave him behind to recover. So let's get these guys up there. I don't know. Because if I can get him suckered in, that might be better. I say, thinking I'm clever. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's put one over there. That's an operation. That fatigues him. Do I want to... No, I can't launch the attack. This guy. 1, 2. He's actually fatigued already. 1, 2. He has 2 actions left. Now, I could do this a couple different ways, but I'm going to do a prepared attack. Why not? Because that'll eat up the rest of my actions with that unit. The other alternative is I could do a hasty attack, and that would leave me a couple movement points to move a little further forward. I don't think that's that important right now. So, there's no armor involved. We go through the mods. The defender is demoralized. That's +4. All right, we'll use this for this time. 2 units of the regiment is next to the attacker. That's not the case. German defender and extended, no. Intensive attack, no. Deliberate attack, yes, that's +2. Defender disordered, no. We already give him the demoralized. 1 unit of the attacking unit's regiment adjacent to the defender. It's a big bonus to get 2, but we'll take 1. Defender cannot trace a line of communication. They can. We didn't manage to cut them off. Armor differential, no. Yeah, I think everybody's in defensive line anyway. There's no artillery that can supply it with defensive fire. This is the one thing. If you flung the German units up closer, they would get defensive fire. But I don't really like that idea. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't do that. None of this shit is in play. Okay. So we've got a net of +7. We're attacking at 3 to 1. 1 defender strength, attacker strength 3. +7 to the die roll. +7 gets us a total of 8. Which means we take a hit and they are eliminated. And I am allowed to advance. Oh, there was a village there? Shit, that should have only been +6. So instead of an 8, it's a 7. Same result. You know, very mild combat chart. It moves very slowly. Back away from the details, at least for a little bit. The Germans have the next operation roll. They're going at 0. They probably want to do things. At least get some of their units up towards the front, dig in and such not, where they can. There isn't a whole lot they can do. And with a big 9, I got plenty of units I could move. I might want to move everything that I want to move. This is the only unit I'm a little iffy about. That may want some flexibility as to what it does, but I kind of want to get them there. Entrenching, let's make sure. I believe it costs the entirety, but it may be wrong. Let's look at the German table. Entrench costs 3 action points, as does build strong point. Extended deployment costs 1, but then you can't entrench. That doesn't sound wise. So I think what I want to do is I do want to strengthen that. I got to decide. I probably want to entrench here rather than try to defend further forward. And I want to get that unit up, and that's really about all I got. So I'll be done with my Germans in a moment. And there's their position after that big 9 roll. Now the U.S. gets to make a roll, and it'll just get to keep making rolls until maybe the Germans want to do something again. They're going to be passing from now on. Although it's possible, what's possible? Nothing's possible. You might want to do a barrage. Okay. It's possible that they might want to do that barrage. That's about the only thing they'd want to do. Otherwise, the U.S. is going to get to roll and use up all of its operation points until it rolls a 0. Once it rolls a 0, then it has to roll again. And, you know, basically on a double 0, a 1% chance each turn, each operations check, they might just lose the right to continue moving. Chances are I'm going to get to do everything at this point, though. Let's make sure. Okay, so this one starts off with 3 operations points, and it might behoove me, seeing how many German units have moved and that they don't have anything left, to just continue spending, you know, the extra 3 operations points where I want to. I'm going to be launching this attack fairly early. I better grab this, and otherwise I'm going to be positioning my units, you know, for next turn for the most part, because there's nothing I can hit this turn. I do have an airstrike. I could have used that if the Germans hadn't moved all their units to fatigue a unit that I wouldn't otherwise want it to move. If I could attack this, fatiguing that would do some good, but I can't. And yeah, there's not much that I can do, though it's of value. Okay, this time, let me make sure, 1, 2, 3, 4. This time I've cut off his line of communication, so he's going to get an additional penalty on himself there. Plus I have some assets, so we go through the armor routine. So let's do this attack next. It's a little more exciting. I find this one easier to read. Probably because I'm the US. I don't know. Do I? Maybe I don't. Okay. So, defenders demoralized. Yes, that's going to be a 4 in my favor. 2 units of adjacent. No. Oh, this is a hasty attack again. German defender and extended. No. Intensive attack. Deliberate. Defender disordered. No. 1 unit adjacent, yes. Let's see. Okay. I'm not 2 or more levels above. Defender can't trace in a line of communication. That gets us up to +6. Okay, we forgot the armor. Where's the armor? There's the armor differential. Okay. For armor differential, I have 2, 4, 6. Geez, a lot. 6 to 1. That's going to give me a base of +5. Yeah, that's going to give me another +5. The defender's disordered, so that subtracts from his armor benefits. So that actually puts me up to +6. I go way up here. The maximum I can get is a +10. And I am on that 3 to 1 table again. 16 is just going to eliminate it. No big shock there. And we move here. Now, no, the assets have not become fatigued. They only become fatigued if they get transferred. So you can actually use an asset twice in a turn. I could commit it to another attack. And they're core level, so I could have actually shifted it between the 2 attacks, and that might have saved me a unit. Allied operations. This is what we have. The attack successful here. Moved through here, grabbed my victory point hex, and moved another battalion or brigade into play. Yeah, it's B words. They all sound the same to me. Without launching an attack. Now that's put me actually all the way down here. So I'm giving the Germans a +3 on their die roll, but they don't want to do anything. They'll just be passing, which means... So the thing with just passing, and I have to do that. I don't have anything I can, well, I don't know. I might be able to launch an artillery blast. This thing, I don't know what range it is. Just 8. Yeah, I don't think I can activate it for no effect, just in the hopes of getting that 1% chance. And if I did, I'd be fatiguing the unit, and that would be probably unwise because, I don't know. I don't have a good argument for why it would be unwise. It actually probably makes perfect sense. But what that means is, you know, again, the U.S. is just going to get to move its pieces as it wishes. It's got another big roll and got a lot of, pretty much got to move everything they wanted to. I'm probably down around here. I could have moved more units, but these guys all want to recover. Why? Because I'm an incredibly cautious person. I got these rangers over here trying to skim away through the swamp. It's going to be kind of hard. I might try turning this division through there, but I'm not sure. Or brigade. Otherwise, most of this division really should be heading that way to try to bust its way through. I should be able to clear this up pretty fast. So, what about the rest of the turn? Yeah. Oh, there's no replacements on turn 1 and 2. Shit. Okay. The U.S. is going to roll again in that case because I didn't move these guys. And they do want to move. If they can't replace, they might as well move and get into better position. So, that taken care of. Let's keep looking. Marker removal. Well, actually, before that happens, we have the reinforcements phase. Okay. Keep seeing cobs. Not on turn 1 or 2. Okay, so U.S. reinforcements come in. And I gotta pull these guys and figure out how to land them. And again, they're just gonna keep pushing forward too. Fucked up a couple of things. For each U.S. activate infantry or activate artillery, the player pays a penalty of 1 additional operation point. I'm gonna say that it didn't matter. But yeah, some of those initial operations may have been a little too intensive. Like there really wasn't much option. You know, it's not like the Germans tried to defend up front or something. Had they done so, that might have made some difference to give them a little bit more play there. Can only activate once per phase. Yeah. So yeah. And I am not allowed to use the highway benefit with my turn 2 reinforcements, but I was allowed to use it with my turn 2 operations, which is good because I think this guy got an extra movement point or got an extra hex or something out of that. I don't think anybody else did, so everybody else is too close to the enemy. So yeah, I start gathering my reinforcements and pulling them in. Marker removal. If those demoralized or disorders were still on the board, they would come off right now. Replacements, we're not going to do that because we're not allowed to. U.S. control, we grabbed this. So that means for victory points, we get 2 victory points this turn. Zooming right along. By the way, I didn't look at what the victory point requirements are. It's based on how long a game you want to play. I'll show you that in a moment. And turn indication. Wow, we forgot something. There's got to be a point where things get flipped over. Fatigue recovery. Yeah. And it's automatic for all units. So I do the big flip over all over here, and you don't really need me to come back for that. So what I'm going to do is look at the victory points here. So there's 3 scenarios. One which ends on turn 6, one which ends on turn 8, and one which ends all the way at turn 10. We're, of course, playing the long one, but I may check the victory points as we go, just to see how we're doing, although obviously there might be some short-term end-of-game type moves that, might be important. It's unlikely because the victory points accrue as opposed to... so we're looking at trying to get, by the end of turn 6, over 20 victory points. Now, we've gotten a total of 3. And it's the end of turn 2. We have 4 more turns. Obviously, we have to push and get quite a bit further. And that quite a bit further, I mean, it's actually significant, right? This is a victory point here. And then they're kind of hard to get to. There's a bunch down here. They're very far there. So we have to drive in this direction if we want that early victory. What does that do? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But yeah, and then pushing, this is worth another victory point, and that's worth a couple of victory points a turn. But that's quite far away. So the easier route is here. There's a lot of victory points on that side of the board, but those are, and those are the link-up victory points. What they end up doing is you're trying to link with the, I think, British on your flank there, and you're getting points for taking here rather than pushing through the center, which might be rather open, but by not giving you victory points, it makes it kind of painful. And then also there's the, hey, you hit one of these and you're stuck there and you can't keep moving. So you're kind of considered to be, I don't know, maybe pushing further down or whatever. So that becomes, less effective for victory points. Now, St. Lo is the big one. That's worth 6 points per turn. So if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. No, but I mean, you could like short circuit and not try to grab these victory points and head straight for St. Lo. And that might be advantageous in the overall position. But obviously this is going to be hard to reach that quick victory conditions with where I am. And I don't think I could get many more victory points at this point. But I've got a lot of force on this side of the map. Is that okay? Well, if I breach through here, I can cut my way through. So it doesn't look bad. It's not like there are a lot of German units in my way. All right. So I guess that's it. We unflip things, and then I move the turn marker, and you don't have to see any of that. Okay, so pre-operation stuff. Yes, use my tweezers as pointers. Why not? Much more limited firepower available. Just 1 naval fire. Last turn we had far more than we needed. This turn, probably a lot less than we can use. And the U.S. grabbed the initiative. Might as well make the quick roll and see how many ops they get. They get a big 9 operations, which could go up to 12, of course. So I've got plenty to get the jump on this position before the Germans can... I don't know what they could do, but I mean, this is really kind of a stopgap line anyway. It's not going to all be entrenched. They're going to have to fall back quite a ways. Luckily for them, there's nothing here except terrain to give. Now, that doesn't mean I want to give it. Where there's something defensible, I want to be in it. But, all right. Let me look at the artillery situation. I moved 1 unit up into here to get me a surrounding and to give support to this unit. I don't think I'm going to move a 2nd unit of that same brigade into place. I think that one's going to try to penetrate further. But it's time to think artillery at this point. I could have thought about it earlier. Now, airstrikes are incredibly powerful. We look at the chart for them. I don't have it. Oh, I only have a naval. Shit. I thought I had an airstrike, not a naval. Okay, so let's look at what kind of strength I can get. I'm going to be at the same level but with a 1 hex observation range, because I can drop it in the zone of control because I have a unit there covering me. So that means I'm going to get like a 3 times multiplier. Now points, I have 2, 4, maybe up to 8. Multiples of 2. Now, let's see. So it's going to be multiples of 6 I'm looking at. Obviously I don't want this. 12 puts me to here, still not very effective. 24 puts me all the way out here. Now, this is actually a little less useful than the airstrike still, right? Yeah. So basically I have 1 artillery shot with everything here. Of course, I could choose not to artillery this space and maybe move the extra unit in for an extra bonus with all the armor and everything. Maybe I've got a chance against that 4. The reason being, this guy, although he has a village, which impacts my barrage die roll. What I'm thinking is the airstrike is what I want to use to try to get me through the trench, or the naval fire is what I want to use to get me through the trench. Because that's about as good as the best artillery I could fire. But whatever it actually means, I basically have 1 unit that I can throw. I have 2 firepower that I can throw down here. Basically, I'm going to have to conglomerate all my artillery to launch a shot here. Now, the blue artillery here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in range there, so I can do some fire on that side as well. The other side of things is the problem is that I have 3 units I have to get out of the way. Now, one of them is fairly weak. This thing, of course, it's got a lot of anti-armor. But what am I looking at on the combat table in terms of moving this thing? This is where you start, you know, once you get familiar with the combat, I'm sure it becomes easier to make these decisions, or maybe harder because you can actually figure them. But I'll be attacking with against a strength of 4 with a strength of 3, which means I'm going to need a pretty big modifier to even damage the defending unit. So, gosh. I'm thinking about using the naval fire there. Let's take a look at the barrage and see. We need to be at least 2 levels higher to get a benefit. Now here, I'm not going to really be that, although I would be here, right? This is great. So that would be 2 levels higher at 2 hexes, which is a 6 times multiplier, which is better. And I could conceivably have gotten this space. So, since we don't have to use the observation benefit, I think I'm going to use the naval fire to take this space. I'm not sure I can take the trench out. But if I can take the trench out, well, no, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm going to use the naval fire here because that 4 strength point unit. That's the thing. The difference between the 3 and the 4 strength point unit is a problem. So the 3 strength point unit facing a 3, that's a much friendlier table than the next one over, I think. The differential, you know, where the tables are gentle is with the die roll modifiers. Okay. Figure out what we're going to do here. So I'm going to launch that fire. Technically, I have to place an observation, but obviously I have one, and it's not going to make much difference. Why is there a yellow one? What is going on here? Is there something? There we go. Yeah, there shouldn't be 2 blue Germans. The yellow does come on as another unit. So, what do? I'm going to spend, what is it, 2 or 3? I think it's 3 actually, to do an artillery. Oh, this is naval fire. was what I was choosing to do. So that only cost me 1. Yeah, and I just roll that. And hope for the best. There's no benefits here that I see. I get a nice big roll. Okay, I have demoralized them. That's a big deal. That's kind of the best result I could get. I have to think about the attack, though, whether I want that extra +1 or is it +2 for 2 units. Yeah, it's an extra +2. I think I want to bring all my units into play against this. Spend another, that gives me 3 action points. I do a tactical movement into here. And now I'm going to spend for the level 2 attack. Because again, I need modifiers as much as I can get. That's the way I think. I mean, I would love to be able to push forward, but I feel like I need to get these units out of the way. Okay, so let's take a look. Defender demoralized, that's a big 4. And yes, I know I said I wouldn't be doing this soon. 2 units of the regiment there, that's a +3. This is a deliberate attack, that's +2. The defender, 1 unit of the attacking, no. The defender cannot trace a line of communication. We're up to the maximum at +10. Is the defender 2 levels higher than the attacker? Okay, so I put the attacker on this stuff, and that's only 1 level below that, so I don't get the benefit for the steep slope. Now we take a look at the armor differential, and we're looking at 6 armor for the US to 2. That should get me a 4-point bonus. I spent too much on this, obviously. The defender is demoralized, so it actually gets me to a 6-point bonus. Yeah, I did not need that extra unit. Let me not move him. Because I could have pre-calculated all this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 is, I think, where he was. May have been here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't remember. Couldn't be there. Yeah, he must have been there. Okay, so I'm not going to move him. I'm going to move this guy. And I could be putting little activated markers on these things, but it's the first operation, so it's not that important. And with a lot of points there, I don't really want to do that. I spent the operations for the attack. I lost 2 off my mods, but I'm still at like +10 for this attack, which is all it's the best I can do. So that's why I reversed my decision there. +10 gets me to the 17. I cause 1 hit to the Germans. Again, I haven't dislodged them. However, that doesn't mean I'm done. I can reallocate my assets with an operation all to this unit. Okay, this slows me down because I was hoping to do that for a different attack or something, but okay. Activate this unit. 1, 2. He should be flipped. That leaves him with the same kind of attack, basically. I don't have to refigure the odds. I'm going to be at +10 on this. I've actually increased it beyond wherever. I'm back where the other one was. And we take another shot, and we get a 17. That's just another hit against the Germans. And there aren't a lot of 5-point units, but so those 4 counters are. Let's See if we can see any. There's some. Okay. These guys are done. You know, I can't reactivate them in this operation set. I could do it again later, and it will cause them harm. The friction point idea. Ugh. Well, I still have 3 operations left. That's enough for me to, like, maybe launch another set of attacks, especially if I'm willing to give the Germans some points. But I need to think. I have failed to destroy that unit. It's holding up quite well, which it looks like that's probably not unreasonable. I got good die rolls. I threw a lot of effort in. But it is leading me to wonder, hey, maybe I can punch through here, and boy, am I scared of this trench. Now, the lucky thing for me is, in order to build a strong point, the unit has to be at least 3 hexes away from the nearest U.S. unit. So you can't really entrench in any sense of the word, either the strong points or that, if you've got the enemy close to you. I've also got these rangers who could kind of slip in behind units and cut supply, even though I'm going to have a harder time to do it with other units maybe, that I don't want to commit to that. So, you know, what are my thoughts? Cutting the line of communication is very valuable. I'd love to bust my way through this shit. That's the problem. But that's sitting in a city hex. The bombardment, it's got painful modifiers to bombard that. I almost feel like I have to cut through here first. So to do that, I'm going to open up with 1, 2, 3 is the cost for an artillery barrage if I throw these guys in. Oh, I have more than I thought, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Not enough. Okay, so let's fire all 10 guns. They're all in range. We will put our observation up here. That's not going to help us. That's only a 1 hex size increment. If I put it up here, I would be too far away to, right? I'd be at 4 hexes to target. Hold on. 4 hexes to target would be times 2. 2 hexes to target. 1 or 2 hexes to target. Actually, I don't want to put it here. I want to put it here. 1 hex to target gives me the times 3. So I said there were 10. That gives me a 30 attack. And that'll put it here. Modifiers. Any? No. So 5 on the 30. I disordered him. That gives me a little bit of an advantage. Does not fatigue him, so he can get out of there if the Germans decide to fall back from this position. It's kind of a nice position, but I'm overwhelmed. So now the question is, do I let the Germans move forward, or do I want to spend some operations to launch an attack? I kind of want to destroy their units. If they're going to put them in the front like this, I kind of want to hurt them. So I've got actually 3 units of the 26th right here. Can I get something around the end? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not going to do it. 1, 2, 3, that would stop here. So, I mean, I can cut this off, but I can't cut that unit off. So I'm just going to launch an attack without that there. I want this to be a big attack. So I will spend 1 operation, and I'll spend all 3 action points for the fully prepared attack. I may reverse this when I see my modifiers, right? Just like I did before. The defender is not demoralized this time. 2 units are adjacent, though. It's an intensive attack. That's 1, 2, 3. The defender has a line of communications. What about the armor advantage? I have 2, 4, 6 to 2. That would normally be a 4. Minus 1 brings it up to a 5. So I'm up to 11. Okay. Any negatives? Does the defender have defensive fire? No, the artillery all got wiped out, unfortunately. Does not look like it, unless I have 2 levels of terrain on this, which I do not. That's 1 level of terrain. So I'm again looking at plus 10, well, plus 10 or higher. If I leave myself 1 action point and only do the prepared attack, the level 2 attack, I go down to a plus 10. That gives me a couple movement points if I get a breakthrough. I'm probably not going to, and I can't re-attack. So I am attacking 3 to 3. I roll a 4. Okay, the attacker loses 2 and an asset. Ouch, I just got my ass handed to me and my asset taken away. And I don't have, the points. I could pull out of there or something, but I don't want to do that. So there's a U.S. asset. And that hurts me. Now I'm worse on my next attack, which I don't know if I want to do. I don't know if I don't want to do. I think I'm going to hand the initiative off to the Germans, see what they do. Now remember, they're at plus 1. I'm not going to view everything out, but whatever. So they get a total of 8 operations to play out, and don't know what I'm going to do because I don't have a lot of units to play with. Spend an operation to activate this. I want to get him out of there. It's a town, it's a city and everything, and a victory point hex, but I can't defend it. And the Allies decided, or the U.S. decided not to attack there, to let me out. Probably a mistake because this line was developed. What's down there wasn't. So that gives me 3 actions. I can do the big move. It will not be administrative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to pull there. Now this guy has been activated, this operations set, which means I can't just immediately run him further, which is what I want to do. Now the question is, what's my do I want to spend a second move? I've got this unit, which, I would love to get that up to join stuff. That's not part of that's not going to get any kind of brigade integrity or anything. It's not part of anything. Nothing really is. So the Germans are going to have to get their units together. And in some cases, there are only 2 units to a formation, and that's the best you can do. Not that I'm in any position to counterattack at this point. So here, one of the questions is, what do I want to do with this artillery? I could have bombarded if I wanted to try to hold this, but then I lose any defensive advantage. I don't think I'm close enough for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The U.S. is not going to be able to overrun my artillery right off the bat. Now they could bombard it conceivably, which might pin it into place. That would be somewhat problematic. But Germans could have done that kind of prolong-y thing with the artillery that they had up in front of their position. I didn't think about that. So I don't think there's any emergency for me to withdraw that unit right away. Do I want to make a decision on which way this unit moves? Maybe. I don't think so. If I go in this direction, which is where I'm kind of tending towards, let's see, as opposed to there. Yeah, the only real reason to make the move right now would be to ensure that the turn, that I get to move him before the turn ends. I don't think there's much advantage to me choosing one, I don't think there's a big problem with me choosing one route over another. So I'm going to do the administrative movement with him. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not an optimal place. Like I said, I don't think I want to move that artillery yet. If the Allies attack this, I get to provide defensive fire. I don't think they're in range anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, if they get close enough to attack that, my artillery is going to have to fall back anyway. Do I want to just pull my artillery back? Doesn't seem like a terrible idea. So first operation, let me send an asset over to this unit. Give him a little more defensive edge. Because I do want him there to delay things for a little bit. And second operation, I'm going to actually move my artillery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why don't we give him that hill for the observational advantage? So the problem with being in that hill is now this guy won't be on that hill. And I don't know if I want him to be. Well, he can't reach there if he's moving by normal movement, and he's too fast otherwise. Do I actually want that asset with this unit? Yeah, why not? Okay. I think at this point the Germans say we're done with our operation, and that puts me to a U.S. operation over here. We rolled a big 0 for the U.S. operations, which means we have to look here. And on a 0 or 1, the turn just ends. And the U.S. decides to, we're tired. No, they're going to go forward. But that generated 0 points, and I have no bonus. I can still take up to 3 ops. I have a total of 0 with up to 3 ops. I probably do want to take some of them, just in case the turn's going to end. I want to grab this victory point hex, and I don't know what else is really vital, but that's pretty important, because remember, the victory points, you want to start accumulating them pretty quickly. Okay, so what did we get? We got, first of all, I grabbed this. Then I transferred my assets and launched another attack. And by the way, last time I think I had to make the full-on attack. Not that it made any difference to anything. Because, hey, somebody's hurt here, aren't they? Where's my hurt person? I got one of my US units to take like 2 losses. Should have been this guy. Why does he not have a marker on him? These are units that were injured in the advance. I'm not sure I want it all the way up there. But yeah, this guy should be 2 hit, and I don't think I marked him. Well, where did I lose my asset? Hold on. Now I'm really confused. Aha! Okay, did this guy take a 1? Let me check. Okay, I think what I did was I put the wrong unit. Had the injury. I think I took a 1 asset hit last time. Though there are none, so I'm thinking that it should be a 2 asset hit. So this attack was more successful. I did a point of damage to the Germans. I didn't push them forward. But, you know, I spent my operations getting to the 3 ops from a 0. Now, here's the question. I do want to do something with the Germans. Probably wanted to do it last time, so I'm going to roll again. And remember, I've got a +3 to the die roll. Had I rolled a 0, there's still a chance it ends, but I get 4 operations. I'm going to spend one of them to create a strong point here. Why not? I am going to spend... So the question is whether or not I want to run away from him here. I can't move my artillery. I could expend points to get him into a better position. The problem is this is too close to those rangers to create a strong point there, which is a place where I would want one. Behind the streams, behind the swamp. It's a really nice location. But if he starts patrolling around behind, I might have an attack on him. And in fact, one of the things the U.S. may have screwed up with, among many, is they could have gotten him moved partway here and then finished the move to cut off his supply before launching those attacks. Like many Balkowski games, maneuver can be very important here, and because of the pulsing, you see it coming, and your position can start to become degraded, and then you pull out. That's a very, very pretty factor in this. For some reason, this kind of maneuvering is really loved by Civil War aficionados, but not so desirable for World War II. I don't know. I'm not sure why this game has such a crappy rating, and it's not terrible. But for a Balkowski game, it's got a low rating. I've always kind of thought it was pretty decent. I'm not the kind of person who rates something that's this small. You know, again, especially if it comes in a box with a really high rating. It's small not just in terms of the system or the situation. Well, the number of counters in the map and all that. That doesn't really bother me. But small in terms of, I'm not looking at some grand battle like I would be at Gettysburg, right? That I can picture these formations moving around. Nor am I looking at some sort of strategic or bigger operational move where I can see these big activities going on. This is at a level that really, for World War II, anything but strategic kind of is dull to me for the most part. But it is definitely at a level that doesn't entice me very much. But there are a lot of people who are really into World War II. And this mechanism feels like, you know, it's really a lot. It's head and shoulders above most of what I've seen that came out before this. So, what the hell do I do? The big question here is whether I want to withdraw. Why are these guys fatigued? These are the guys who ran away, I guess. Did I forget to unflip them? The fucking mechanisms of unflipping are the problem. I think I did. I think I forgot to unflip them. Right? Did the Germans have the initiative this time? I don't fucking know. And this is one of the things where the game really kind of falls apart for me, is that mechanical pain in the ass. I do not believe that I moved this unit. So I am going to put it on the unfatigued side. I think I just somehow missed unfatiguing it. These guys got attacked. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Shit. God, I'm so lost on this. Do I trust, what the counter was at? When did I pull out? That's the question. Turn 1, nothing could have gotten here. I think these are fatigued. I think I leave them like that. So I could actually expend for them, but expending a strength point to move them feels unwise. So, at least at this point. Maybe later it won't. So I'm going to stop there with the Germans, and I am going to let the Allies, or the U.S., make another roll. And they get a big 3. These guys are going to try to recover, but I wanted to push forward with at least one unit of their formation. My plan is to try to outflank the swamp from that direction. I don't think I can blast my way through there, even though I've got this huge numeric superiority. But these guys have to recover, so that's kind of a problem. And unfortunately, I sent part of this brigade that way. I also sent the Rangers around the back, cutting this supply off. Now, I'm in a position where I can move these if I'm right. Let me see, 1, 2. Let me see the redeployment rolls. And I think, between the mechanical I can answer my question. The mechanical complexity is very bad. The map is hideous, obviously, and the unfamiliarity with the style of play. This isn't like great campaigns of the American Civil War, which just caught on and has been sustained by game after game in this series. There weren't other games in this series. Just like Lee versus Grant is kind of off on its own. I like it better than the great campaigns, but maybe only for that scenario. Like, I don't know. I find the artwork more appealing, to tell you the truth. At least than the old Avalon Hill ones. I am trying to see transfer assets. Okay, how am I allowed to transfer? It's the range that's the issue. No more than 6 hexes. It cannot enter enemy controlled unless it's occupied by a friendly unit. Yeah, so I can shift for one more attack on that unit. Now, is that the unit I want to hit? Yeah, because these all got hit. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I shift these 3 assets over there. I spent the movement for that. And now I will launch yet another attack on this. It's a little better this time. I have an action point left after I just spent that. That gets me to the +10. Yeah, I remembered in my head, and believe it or not, it was at +11 before because there's a village here that dropped down to +10. But the fact that I've cut his line of communication off gets me back up to +10. But I need to batter my way through here and start pushing forward. 7, a good enough roll to get me in. I'll push in now. And here's the thing, I still have an action point, so I can move forward, presumably to here. We had him cut. We had him cut because we were here. Okay. Yeah, so we maintain him being out of supply. That gets me to the 0. I probably still want to do actions, though, because I don't care if I'm giving the Germans 3 extra actions each time. They don't have enough pieces to count. Swung around behind the entrenched position before it gets a chance to just pack up its bags, because its position's looking a lot more questionable with this push through. It's still pretty potent, but it's a dead unit now in Go terms, basically. This guy is feeling a little worried because we got a couple of U.S. units here. What could happen that's so terrible? Well, if the U.S. gets a reasonable roll, they could move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get me surrounded, pull some assets from this unit. Yes, that's going to cause casualties on the U.S. units, but I can probably arrange that this unit will be destroyed. Am I really terrified about this? Well, see, I can't occupy this strong point. If those units leave, I won't be in that strong point anymore. And that's kind of worrisome. So I don't know if I want to leave or not. And I got to make my decision before I roll this die for movement or for activation, because there's a chance the that turn could end if I roll my activation. And I really don't want to lose my unit, but I also, you know what? No. If I'm not going to be there, I don't want to reallocate my asset. Or if I'm going to be there, I don't want to reallocate my asset somewhere else. Jeez. This is not a piece of the line worth fighting for. It's not worth fighting for enough to take the risk, so I will roll. And that commits me to moving out, basically. So I get 10 operations. Yeah, I need like 2. I haven't seen this before, so I take a casualty from the friction as I burn an operation. And I can't administrative move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could have before, not anymore. Do I want to drop my asset somewhere over here as well? Remember, I've got one asset I can't get rid of, but I got one that I can. I need to defend this as well as I possibly can. And this guy, I guess, is going to head down to help defend things. I don't have a way out of here anymore. I'm stuck. So that's it for the Germans. And now it probably is the case that the US is just going to keep rolling until the turn ends one way or another. And with 9 activations, that I can fire that off 12 times, that might be all their pieces. Unless they want to do, more intensive combat somewhere. Everything I want to with both sides. So both people have passed. That ends the operation phase. And that takes us to the cleanup for the turn. Obviously, the reinforcements are next. Okay, we got to roll for the German reinforcements at this point, right? They didn't happen turns 1 and 2, but they happen now. And we have a modifier on turns 4 and 5. This is not one of those. So we get a 0. The German reinforcements does not advance. Nothing new comes in. That kind of blows. The U.S. reinforcements. We're starting to see units of the other division showing up. And a bunch of reserve artillery. Let's see what goes on. And there's our new units deployment. Replacements. Eligible units on their mobile side can have their points raised. Well, what does it make for eligibility for a replacement? I don't remember these things, of course. It just looks like it has to be reduced and able to trace a line of supply, I believe. Yeah. I don't see anybody who can't trace a line of supply except for this poor sucker. Oh. What do we got here? We forgot marker removal. I thought so. This is the only one. Now, here's a big difference with the Central Front Series. In the Central Front Series, if a unit like this was fatigued and couldn't recuperate from its fatigue, it would exchange its fatigued state for a hit. They essentially mean the same thing. The only difference is the fatigue state in that means that you moved. That doesn't happen here. You remain fatigued, which is kind of strange. It means you're not able to do things. Well, actually, fatigue recovery has an eligibility. I don't think they're the same. I think you recover from fatigue more easily in this than you do from the other forms of friction that occur. Now, let me just make sure about that. Nope, you do have to trace a line of supply here. So yeah, it's the same situation, except that you retain the penalty for fatigue in this game. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But in Central Front Series, there isn't a penalty for fatigue. It's more of a mnemonic device to remind you who moved, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so the first thing we have to do in the recovery then is the replacement before we do the fatigue recovery. And that's important because units like this that did not move get their strength points back, as long as they've got a supply line. This one, which I actually wasn't sure I was going to get back, because I might have moved too close to the enemy. Now, here's the problem, and the graphics in some of the other games are better at this by having like a white bar or whatever. The little fatigue marker doesn't really ring a bell in my head as to making it clear to me that I've moved, that unit's on that side and that I can't recover the same way. So it's kind of problematic because it's just hard to see, hey, is this damaged unit fatigued or not? I have to use a little bit more cognitive ability to read the counters than I would prefer. I prefer it to be almost automatic, and it's not that way. I don't think it's going to get that way either because it's so subdued. But as it stands right now, I think I've caught all the units that could recover. Could recover with replacements. Now we go to the fatigue recovery. Remember, these guys who are fatigued and damaged, all they recover is their fatigue point. They've got to actually rest to get more back. And what then? And then we just go through the mechanical aspects of scoring the victory points and moving the turn forward. And for whatever value it is, the units have been unflipped. I don't see a difference, honestly. I mean, victory points at 6 for the U.S. We finished 3 turns. We're halfway through that short scenario and we're only at 6. But again, what that scenario really is about is busting this line. Now, my tactics or my strategy in this game, my tactics are not, my strategy in this game is to actually ignore that line because I don't think I can bust it. I don't think that that 6-turn scenario is reasonable. I'm going to be gathering 3 points a turn for quite some time as I try to push through here. But, my way of getting rid of this is to get these units forward. Maybe I'm not rushing hard enough. Maybe I'm being too American here. Whatever. I'm going to load this one up. No idea how long it is, but I think it's over an hour at this point. And maybe we'll step back a little bit in terms of positions. And one really good thing for the U.S., no Germans came in yet. That's a big deal, actually. Getting a crappy first turn 3 roll for reinforcements.